On the 11th of December 2023, you were all convicted by a jury of the murder of Shakira Spencer and preventing her lawful burial. The trial lasted 12 weeks. The jury heard evidence of such grim nature that I have excused each juror from jury service for the rest of their lives if they wish. Shakira Spencer was a healthy and loving young woman of 35 years old. Images of Shakira before she fell under your influence show her full of life, healthy and smiling. She is unrecognisable at the end, emaciated, broken. All who watched it will be slow to forget the CCTV footage of Shakira trying to walk on scalded feet in the middle of the night. You, Pendlebury, lived in her flat while she slept in a bike shed. You, Studholme, started as a friend, but ended as the worst kind of enemy a person could have. You, Richardson, showed Shakira nothing but exceptional contempt and aggression. Leading up to her murder, she was routinely and continually humiliated, degraded, and dehumanised. I heard you, Shaun Pendlebury, and you, Lisa Richardson, give evidence. The lack of pity, empathy, or decency towards Shakira was marked in everything you said, even when on trial in front of a jury. I read the pre-sentence report about you, Ashana Studholme. None of you take any responsibility, and you continue to blame each other to this day. You have no remorse. Your only concern, as it has been throughout, is for yourselves. I want to ensure that the valuable life of Shakira Spencer is not forgotten in this sentencing exercise.
Buckle up, guys. Today we are going to witness a sentencing that left a courtroom in silence. The judge addresses 3 defendants convicted of murdering Shakira Spencer and even preventing her burial. Jurors were so affected they were excused from future duty. Once described as healthy and full of life, Shakira is remembered as someone who trusted the wrong people, and the court makes clear this case involves shocking cruelty.
I have heard and read from those who knew her. They've described her particular qualities of innocence and vulnerability. She was lovable, soft and trusting, easy to take advantage of, and she needed a lot of help and support. She was shy and timid. She had succeeded in living an independent, productive life for quite some time, albeit with difficulties. Her friend said that a calculated person would easily be able to exploit Shakira, and she was no match for the 3 of you. Her mother describes her attempts to help her child and how much love she has for her and will continue to have for her. She says that her life will never be the same. Her own health is shattered, and she has nightmares about Shakira being in the dark, trapped, dying, and calling for her. Shakira's father described the complete despair of all the family, and he says that Shakira was a beautiful soul, but vulnerable, and that it is unimaginable that she could have been treated this way. The jury heard how before her death you all isolated your victim and treated her like a servant. You frightened her, you assaulted her, you starved her, and the jury heard details such as Shakira being forced to eat ketchup sachets for food, other people being invited to join in the abuse, constant insults and belittling, and a growing sense throughout the evidence that you could behave towards her in whichever way you thought fit. They heard from witnesses who were shocked at her physical decline.
The judge then turns to who Shakira was before the abuse, sharing statements from loved ones who described her as gentle, vulnerable, and easily exploited. Family members speak of lasting trauma and grief that has shattered their health and peace. Evidence shows she was isolated, treated like a servant, humiliated and physically harmed, while others watched her rapid decline in fear and disbelief.
She was seen in the weeks leading up to her death with dramatic injuries to her face, and her mother saw terrible bruising all over her body as if she had been trampled on. You all seemed to enjoy the power that you had over Shakira Spencer. There was evidence of a kind of pack mentality between you. There is footage that the jury saw, and I've looked at again today, of her being degraded and assaulted on the 4th of September before her death. Shakira had become a commodity and an object to you three. The cross-examination of you, Lisa Richardson, made it clearer than it had ever been that you were involved in prostituting Shakira. The messages on your phone show a litany of savagery and depravity, which culminated in her murder. Only you three know what made you behave like this, and you've offered no explanations other than to blame each other and to try to evade responsibility. From the evidence, it is clear that you all acted together throughout this catalogue of brutality. You, Ashana Studholme, wiped your telephone. You, Shaun Pendlebury, deliberately disposed of yours, I am quite sure. It is clear from the messages that are available on Lisa Richardson's phone that violence and degradation of Shakira was planned, discussed and threatened regularly. You were all in this together, and I look to your proved conduct when assessing the gravity of this offence. This murder was marked by extreme cruelty, brutal violence and torture. By the morning of the 9th of September 2022, Shakira was already bleeding and already badly injured to her head, feet and body. This is the state that she was in when the final fatal attacks began. So you, Shaun Pendlebury, tell Shakira to kneel down, and then you hit her on her head with a glass bottle. You then kicked her, causing her to fall. You all three then circled her as she tried to ask you to stop, and she was crying out in pain. Shakira was told to strip by you, Ashana Studholme, and was filmed. An aerosol spray with a lighter was used to burn Shakira. When your thumb, Studholme, became sore from pressing the lighter, you passed it to Shaun Pendlebury to continue.
The court outlines how the violence escalated in the days before her death. Footage and messages revealed coordinated abuse, degradation and planning among the group. Despite serious injuries, no medical help was sought. Instead, she was moved, hidden, and left in worsening condition. The judge stresses that the suffering was prolonged and that the actions of all three defendants were deliberate and shared.
Following this first bout of violence, Shakira passed out, hit her head, and was dragged by you, Shaun Pendlebury, to the hallway, where she slept that night under newspapers in her own urine. The next day, Shakira's torment continued, and more depraved violence took place. Despite her grave injuries, Shakira was then put in the boot of a car and driven to her flat on the 12th of September. No attempt was made to get her any assistance of any kind, including medical assistance. The last footage of her alive shows her stumbling and falling and being pulled along. Once inside, she was placed in a cupboard. This, for her mother, is one of the worst things that her family have to think about. Leaving Shakira in that cupboard was barbaric. Given the orgy of violence, I am in no doubt that you all intended to kill Shakira Spencer. I am also sure, on all the evidence, including that given by you, Pendlebury, and you, Richardson, that this was a sadistic killing in which you all took pleasure in inflicting pain, suffering, and humiliation on a vulnerable woman. The clean-up and the cover-up had begun even before Shakira had died. In the days after she was put in the cupboard, you all worked together to conceal her death and to make it look like she had died of natural causes. The contempt for her continued even in death. Incense sticks and ice packs were used, placed around the body. You attempted to borrow vehicles to dispose of her. It could not have been a more concerted effort to try to conceal the truth of what you had done. The outside world was only alerted by the maggots crawling from under her front door. Her body was found badly decomposed on one of her young children's beds. On the 25th of September, you, Pendlebury, were taken to your uncle's and you told him some of what had happened. Your uncle did the right thing and called the police. The fact that Shakira's body was so decomposed meant that the cause of her death could not be pathologically ascertained. This was explored in detail at trial. The pathologist said that she had degloving injuries to her feet and hands. There were 6 areas of injury to her head, including 4 separate areas of full thickness lacerations, which could have been caused by blunt trauma. There was a possible fracture to her left eye socket, and her left ear had been crushed, consistent with having her head stamped on.
Attention shifts to the aftermath, where efforts were made to cover up the crime and mislead others about how she died. Her body was concealed, and attempts were made to avoid responsibility. Expert testimony detailed severe injuries consistent with repeated assaults. The judge rejects any claim that one person was less involved, concluding this was a joint, exceptionally brutal killing.
The pathologist told the jury about the possible effects which can be delayed of such head injury. There could have been no doubt that Shakira Spencer died of her injuries. There is no difference to make between your roles. I reject all the offered mitigation that you have differing levels of culpability. You all joined in this killing and cover-up with equal veracity and planning, albeit playing different parts. Having considered the provisions of Schedule 21 of the Sentencing Act 2020, and in particular paragraph 3 subsection 1e, I conclude that your offending is of particularly high seriousness. The levels of brutality were wholly exceptional, and Shakira's suffering was extreme. As I have said, it was proved beyond doubt at trial that this was a sadistic murder. By law, I must set a minimum term that you must serve before you can even be considered for release. This is not your sentence. Your sentence will be life imprisonment. The starting point for the minimum term of a murder like this is set by law at 30 years. This takes into account the sadistic brutality in the killing. I must also consider what other factors make these offences even more serious. I have heard all about your previous convictions. I questioned the relevance of yours, Ashana Studholme, as they do involve previous attacks on a woman and neglect of a child. Those of Shaun Pendlebury and Lisa Richardson are not relevant here. I have decided that given the very long sentence that you all face, I will not increase the minimum terms for these matters, as I am urged to do by the prosecution and the defence. However, the additional aggravating features here are significant. They are the prolonged campaign of humiliation and violence leading up to Shakira's murder, premeditation, planning, involved in both the violence beforehand and the murder itself, the group nature of the offending, and you filmed her suffering and degraded and humiliated her when you killed her. Count 2 I will treat as an aggravating feature. None of you have shown any remorse for what you have done. Before mitigation, the minimum term would be 35 years. I have to consider any mitigating factors that there may be under Schedule 21, as well as any personal to you. It is a struggle to find any mitigation for any of you. Pendlebury, you've got a low IQ, and I've read reports about your functioning. It is said that you are compliant and a follower rather than a leader. However, I saw you give evidence, and my judgment is that you were a fully involved member of this group who tortured Shakira sadistically. You had ample opportunity to step away. You took a full part in her ill treatment. You lived in her flat whilst she slept in the bike shed. The film of you all taunting Shakira on the 4th of September is instructive. I saw nothing in you to suggest that you were unwillingly under the power or control of any others. You are 26, you lived independently, and I do not accept the submission that you are a child yourself. This was not the way that you presented to me. I will give you some limited credit for your psychological problems and the deficiencies that have been drawn to my attention and your background. Studholme, you are not mentally ill or psychotic. You have a personality that is aggressive, dominant, and manipulative. You took full advantage of Shakira Spencer. You have provided evidence of what you are doing in prison. There is considerable evidence that you look to systems and individuals with an eye to control and benefit yourself. And in fact, this became an issue in this trial towards the end, when you wrote notes to Lisa Richardson in the dock. You have told the probation officer a pack of manipulative lies, and you have shown no remorse whatsoever. You too have very little personal mitigation, other than some personal factors relating to your background. Lisa Richardson, your tone of aggrieved self-regard continues, as do your denials and prevarications. You played a central role in the beating and degradation of Shakira Spencer leading up to her death. In fact, after your arrival on the scene, the mistreatment of Shakira intensified considerably. The messages make this clear. It is said, and I have read, that you are showing yourself to be a caring and sympathetic individual towards others in custody. This is a side that Shakira Spencer didn't see. Your complete lack of empathy came across throughout your evidence. The probation officer recognised in assessing you, as have I, your sadistic motivation. I will take into account some limited personal mitigation. Stand up, the three of you. The sentence for murder is fixed by law, and it's a life sentence. And I sentence all three of you to life imprisonment for the murder of Shakira Spencer. There will be 5 years concurrent for count 2. Please understand that you may never be released. The prison service will manage you and will try to reduce the risk that you are to the public, if that is possible. You will be subject to the terms of your life sentence for the rest of your lives. The minimum term that must pass before the parole board can even begin to look at your case is 34 years minus 522 days. Take the three of them down.
The law requires life imprisonment, with decades to be served before any release is considered. Claims of mitigation are weighed, but carry little weight against the cruelty, planning, and lack of remorse shown. Each defendant is told they may never be released. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.